Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Nautical Nut. Now it's a pretty warm day here in Maine, but actually nothing compares to the temperatures that you get down in southern Florida, especially in the summertime. And when you're in a 21-foot cuddy cabin boat, it can get pretty warm, especially when you don't have air conditioning. And most 21-foot cuddy cabin boats don't come equipped with air conditioning. So you either have to put one in yourself or make one. And today that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to build one out of a cooler, a couple of muffin fans, a small pump, and a small radiator that goes into a computer for liquid cooling. So stick around and we can build this together. These are the things you're going to need to build this, okay? So you're going to need drills, and you're going to need a drill gun, a cutter. I'm using a utility knife, and you're going to need a glue gun and glue sticks, okay? So also you're going to need a 12-volt high flow, and the nipples that are on there are 3/8 inch outside diameter nipples, and the hose I'm using is a 3/8 inside diameter hose. Okay, I chose clear because A, it was inexpensive, and B, you can actually see the water flowing through it once it gets going. And this I bought on Amazon. This is a cooling radiator that you find for a high-end computer tower, and it also takes dual fans. Okay, so you see that I've already got these attached onto it like this. If you look at the opposite side, you'll see where these little screw holes are right here. Now the fans that I did get had screws that came with them, but the screws did not match with the radiator threaded holes. So I had to go down to the local hardware store, and I had to pick up new screws for that. And I actually brought the radiator and the fans and everything in together because you don't want to buy any screws that are longer than the required. So in other words, if you screw them too far into the radiator, you might end up damaging the water ports. So when you bring it in, match the fans up with the length and everything. You just get enough bite on the screws in order to go into the radiator, and it's more than enough. There's no torque issues or anything like that that's on the fans that you have to worry about the screws falling out. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing started, and we'll do this together. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is figure out placement. This cooler right here, you can pick these up at yard sales for basically anywhere between $3 and $10–15. This here was actually given to me by my wonderful roommates, so it didn't actually cost me anything. So we want to take a look and see how we want to put this on here. Now remember, the top of it's going to open up, okay? So we want it in a position where it could be not in the way. Okay, so it could go this way or it could go this way. But remember, if you look at the sides of your muffin fans, and actually it's not written, oh there it is, sorry about that. If you look right under here, you'll see arrows pointing. The arrow pointing laterally to the side of the fan means that the fan rotates in that direction, and the arrow pointing this way means that the airflow is going to go in this direction right here. So you want to make sure that you put your fans in exactly the same way. So I wanted them pushing through the radiator instead of pulling through the radiator, because actually I think it's a little bit more effective that way right there. Okay, so I installed the fans so that both electrical cords came out through one little corner right here, which is going to make it a little bit easier to install it. So you can have it going this way, or you can have it going this way, or you can have it going this way. The only thing is when this one here is hinged on this side right here. So I would assume that on a cooler that just opens right up like this, you could put it on either end. This won't be in the way of anything. So in this case right here, where the cooler has a little bit of a dip in it right here, and I can lay this on the foot of my bed so that the fan is blowing towards me inside. Makes it a little bit easier instead of having it lay long way on my bed, which is actually going to take up too much room that way. So I figure I'm going to put this on here like this. Okay, I'm going to move it down just a little bit on the end right there. So picking it up is going to look like this, and the pump is going to go on here as well. So the pump is what's going to bring the water from the cooler through the radiator, and then it's going to go back down into the cooler. So the way I want to set this up is that when the cooler has ice and some water in the bottom of it, I want to make it so that the hose that is used to pick up the cold water is on the opposite end of the cooler from the hose that's going to discharge the warmer water after it's gone through the radiator. So we got to figure out how we want to put the pump on here. Another thing is, when you pump in water into a radiator like this, you want to go from the bottom of the radiator up to the top. Okay, the reason being is because if you start at the top and you run it down, chances are the water's just going to go this far in before it runs in and goes back right back out through this way again. So if you run it through the bottom, it's actually going to fill the radiator all the way up to the top, and then it's going to come out through the discharge area right here and then back into the cooler. So I'm going to put this right in line with the bottom part right here. Now on the pump itself, there's an arrow that's pointing that way. So that means that this is the suction side of the pump and this is the discharge side of the pump, and you want that through here, right here. Rarely do you ever want to put the suction side of the pump on the discharge side of the radiator, only because it's going to go through this fitting, and down at the bottom, and you're more apt to get a leak on a suction than you will for a discharge. So you want one hose going from the suction side of the pump into the cooler, so it only has one fitting to deal with. So if you get any air leaks at all, it's going to be from this fitting right here. So if it does, you can fix that fitting relatively easy. Okay, so right now you can see that the hose is a little bit too long, so I'm going to figure out where I got to cut it at. So I figure about right there is where I need to cut it. So I'll take my knife and I'll cut the hose right like that, and then fit the hose right on there. Perfect fit, look at that. So now I have the pump exactly where I want it at. It's not climbing up the top like that. It's exactly where it needs to be. And then this hose right here is going to go right down and through here. Now, here's the important part. When you drill out your holes for this, you want to make sure that the hose fits as tight as possible. Okay? So the way I do it, you can actually do it any way you want to, but let's go ahead and move this off of the cooler for now. Okay? And we're going to take a piece of hose here. Actually, we could use this one right here, the one that we cut off right here, and we want to find the drill bit that's going to fit it perfectly. So we'll put the hose in the place where the drill bit goes, and the way you want to fit this is you want to have to push the hose in almost I think it's going to be this one right here. I think it's going to be this one right here. Okay, so we're going to test it out. Okay, so we got our bit, and we're going to find a spot, and I think right about dead center right here would probably be a really good spot for that. And you want to go nice and slow so you don't like make the hole like all wobbly and or oblong or anything like that. And also remember that you got 2 layers to go through. So that is the water system right there. Pretty much in a nutshell right there. Okay, we still have a little ways left to go here. Like, how are we going to do the electrical? Okay. So most boat owners know, or most people who are familiar with automotive electrical or 12-volt electric, your wires come in two different colors. That's red and black, and generally red is hot, or the positive side, and black is generally the negative side. Okay, so we're going to cut this off. We don't need that. This one has a built-in fuse on it right in there. Okay, so if anything happens to it, if it overloads or anything like that, it shuts itself down. So it's protected and it won't short out the battery. You can pick up these wire strips at Home Depot for generally between $25 and $100, depending on the kind that you get. I like to keep some wire on my boat. So that I have access. 12 gauge. And that's thicker, so I don't need that. So I always keep a spool of wire on my boat. So you never know when they might arise that you might need something like this. So it's very important to me to have it on here to make repairs, or to do what I'm doing like right now, building something like this. So on this right here, I'm going to separate this section right here, cut into this, cut it out. Some people do this different ways. It doesn't matter, okay? I don't care what people say on the positive side, negative side, whichever side you want to put the switch on is completely up to you, okay? Because all you're doing is opening and closing a circuit, okay, with the switch. I prefer to put it on the negative side, only because that's what I'm gonna do. Now I'm going to use these female slide spades. But the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that they fit my switch. Generally they make them so they're all universal. So there you go. Shows it works. I'm gonna make sure that I give it enough length. You don't want to go like too crazy on the length of this cord, only because the longer the cord you have, the bigger the cord has to be in order to handle the amperage. And this is not going to actually pull that many amps, so I'm not really sure that you have to worry about that much. So the other thing is what are we going to put on the end of this? Well, this all depends on what you want to connect it to, okay? So in my boat, I have different types of connectors, but I also have a cigarette lighter socket as well. So for now, we're going to connect up the cigarette lighter socket. And I'm going to make it so that I can detach it to put on some sort of other way to connect it to power, to keep it diverse. So to do that, I'm going to take my paddle connectors and I am going to attach a female to one side and then on the connector itself I'm going to attach the female on the negative side, and I'll show you why in a moment. These are the male blade connectors right here. And I'm going to put a male blade connector on each one that I haven't done yet. There. Okay, so I put a female and a male. This is negative, this is positive. Negative and positive. So I cannot connect the negative to the positive in any way. Even if I'm roaming around in the dark and trying to put this thing together, I will never be able to get the two positive and the positive negative together. So it makes it really easy to put these together. Just like that. And now we have cigarette connector. We've got our switch on here. Like that. We'll put that over there for now. Okay, so let's clean up our mess. Okay, so our glue gun should be sufficiently hot, so we're going to go ahead and clip these real quick. Okay, so everything is hooked up right now, and I've got it plugged in to a cigarette lighter socket. The pump is bolted down. There is ice and water in the cooler. The switch is on, and so right now I ran it for a minute just to make sure that everything is watertight, everything looks good, okay? And you can see that the temperature on it is 58.7 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll turn it on. And you can see the temperature dropping. Right now the ambient temperature outside here is roughly 80 degrees. And the longer this runs through here, the lower the temperature goes on it. Now keep in mind that the ice that I put in here, it's only 1 bag of ice and only 2 gallons of water with it. So right now there is ice cold air coming out through this radiator. It is amazingly cold. This is the temperature of the side of the boat right now. Okay, so looking up here, that's the temperature on the canvas right there, 85 degrees. Okay, temperature of the boat is roughly 79.9, 80 degrees right there. Okay, bring it over here. That is blowing at 43.6 degrees and dropping. That's going to keep this little cuddy cabin right here nice and cool at night. Now, you're probably saying, well, what about all that noise that's coming from the pump? You know, that is a good point. So this is the reason why I built it the way I did, because if I wanted to move this into the cabin, I could connect the hoses and everything and have this in the back of the boat and this part of it up inside the cabin here. So it's going to be less noise going in the back of the boat. Not only that, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit this with rubber feet, and it's going to dampen the noise as well. But right now it's pumping really well. Got good water coming through it. That is blowing some real cold air. Right now it's down to 41.9, 42 degrees. So simply done. It's just a small cooler. Got ice in it. Got a 1.2 gallon per minute pump. A dual radiator, and you can look at the condensation coming off of that. That's amazing. Dual radiator in the 2 muffin fans and everything, and it is coming out of there pretty good. Probably need something a little bit lighter than that right there. So, but it is coming through, and that is ice cold air coming out of that. That's amazing. But there you have it. All on 12 volts. This is running off of the batteries right now, which the batteries are running off of the solar panels. So altogether, this is probably only pulling. The pump is pulling 5 amps max. Okay, 5 amps, and the fans are probably pulling not even a half an amp each. That's it. So 6 amps. So if you have a 100 amp hour battery, this unit actually right here would be able to run for 20 hours. So, but with the solar panels right now, I'm pushing 9 amps of charging time on here, and the charging time, well, the 9 amps total is enough to run this unit right out here without running down the batteries at all. As a matter of fact, the solar powers that I have connected to the boat can run this and charge the batteries at the same time. So there you have it. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments section. I'll see what I can come up with. So I want to thank you for joining me on my video today. But there's a couple of the key things that I want you to remember as we went along. Safety first. Whenever you choose the wiring and everything for this cooler, you want to make sure that it's above the rated for the amperage that you're going to be using. Now, I rated mine right around 6 amps, so I used a 12 gauge wire, which is perfect for it. It really doesn't need any more than that, but if you intend to put anything more than that on your system, make sure that you look it up to find out what the amperage can handle and what wire gauge you want to use. Also, you want to make sure that the pump that you use is not going to overwhelm the radiator itself. So you want to choose the right pump for the right radiator. Okay? There's really no reference on where to find that at. You just got to use your best judgment. If you find that the hoses are starting to blow off the radiator, obviously then the pump is too big. Also, you want to make sure that the actual switch that you use for that is rated for the amperage that you're going to use for the system. Mine was rated at 6 amps, and the switch that I got was rated for 20 amps, so it's well above its useful load. So it's going to be fine on that right there. The last thing you ever want to have is a fire on your boat. And always, always, always remember to put some sort of an inline fuse between the unit and the battery, however you connect it. So if anything ever goes wrong, the unit gets wet or shorts out for any reason, it doesn't burn up the wires, that the fuse will blow before that happens. So thanks again for joining me. Good luck and have fun. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. If you like what I'm doing and you'd like to support me, then the first thing you want to do is hit the subscribe button and follow me. If you want to support me a little bit financially, I would really appreciate it. All you have to do is look for the link below in the description, and also we're going to have a QR code on here that you can flash with your phone and follow it to my donation page. But thank you very much for joining me today, and we'll see you on the next video.